Update. Learned yesterday that I have a daughter with my ex. My fiancé and I are in shock. Original post. L30 male and my fiancé 29 female did not start talking to her best friend Kate until a couple months ago. They were friends since elementary school through high school, but lost contact their first year of college. And here's the fun part. Kate and I met when we were in college and went out for 3 years. She was an absolute nightmare. Very clingy, controlling. I wasn't allowed to have any girlfriends. Every argument turned into a shouting match. I guess her obsession with me possibly cheating on her was all projection because she was the one who did. This completely broke me. I didn't date for a year and did some therapy. The whole relationship really messed with me mentally. Met my fiancé a couple years ago and here we are. Very happy and about to get married in December. She's talked about Kate a few times in passing, but there's a million Kates out in the world. Never considered they were one and the same. She told me she really wanted to find her since it's been a long time and they used to be such close friends. I'd also invite her to our wedding since they always promised to go to each other's. I thought that was great. Well, she found her on Facebook and they started chatting and reconnecting. And even Kate's mom, who my fiancé says was like a second mom to her too. They agreed to have lunch so my fiancé could invite her, and Kate's young daughter too, who also went to the lunch. My fiancé took a picture of them together, then showed me later on that day. That's when I realized and told my fiancé. By the way, I did tell her about this relationship and how toxic it was. My fiancé was in shock too. Couldn't see her friend being that way back then, but she was really understanding that I wasn't at all comfortable with her going to the wedding now. Even if maybe she's a different person now, I don't want those sorts of negative reminders on a day meant to be a happy moment. I don't want an old ex who made my life hard there. My fiancé tells me Kate has messaged her a few times angry about this, but they always said they'd be at each other's weddings. She keeps telling her that she needs to talk to me, but I've refused contact. Apparently didn't know she was marrying me either until the lunch, but didn't say anything because she assumed we could be adults. Both Kate and her mom keep coming after my fiancé to change her mind and think of being an a-hole for not letting her go to her own best friend's wedding, when they've missed out on things in each other's lives, like Kate's having her kid. I feel bad that my fiancé is getting the brunt of this. And to top it off, I know she was really looking forward to her best friend being there. But she won't invite them if I'm uncomfortable with that. Am I wrong here? Now for the top comments before reading the first update. Nah, Kate is learning that there are sometimes far-reaching consequences to our behavior. Don't go to your childhood best friend's wedding because you cheated on her now fiancé years ago, is apparently one of those lessons. It sounds like your fiancé is on your side here, which is good. Hopefully you two can just support each other through this. Also, as far as past behavior being used to judge someone goes, Kate's college behavior is a lot more recent than her high school friendship with her fiancé. You don't invite your abuser anywhere, much less your wedding. And you can tell where Kate got her pushy, bullying, abusive behavior from when her mother keeps insisting to be invited. Doesn't seem to me that Kate has changed much if at all. Agree with this, and sounds like your fiancé needs to let go of a friend who is out of her life for a reason. If X had been more mature and understanding, maybe they could have had a perfectly pleasant friendship going forward. But she already insulted you for not being an adult, and is harassing your fiancé. Neither of you need her in your lives. I hope your soon-to-be wife can see that friendship is best left to the past. It would be a bad idea for her to be there. Why is Kate pushing so much? And her mother too? When your fiancé and Kate have been out of touch for so long. I'm seeing red flags here. It all seems like a little suspect, like what a coincidence. Glad your fiancé will support you in this. Don't invite her and definitely don't talk to her. Total red flags. Would not be surprised to find out Kate knew exactly who she was marrying, even before they reconnected. Now for the first update. Before I met my fiancé, I was in a relationship with another woman in my early 20s for 3 years. It was a very toxic relationship that I got out of and completely cut contact with her. She also happened to be my fiancé's childhood best friend, but they lost contact when they graduated high school. She's only mentioned her friend in passing and seen some old childhood photos of them. However, we never made a connection that her friend and my ex were one and the same, since she got a pretty common name. We only found out recently because my fiancé tried to find her so they can reconnect and maybe have her come to our wedding. They have met and talked. Then my fiancé showed me who she is and I told her. My fiancé knows now she's my ex, and I'm not comfortable with an ex at our wedding. But apparently she's been trying to contact me since finding out I'm the groom. She managed to find my work and came to see me in person this morning. Then she tells me her daughter is mine, and I left before she found out she's pregnant. Her daughter is 6, so the timeline matches from when I left her. I'm not sure if it's my mind playing games on me, but I'm seeing a bit of resemblance in some of the photos she's shown me of her. I really don't want this to be true, but she says I need to take responsibility for my child, and she's willing to do a paternity test if I don't believe her. She never tried to find me before because she knows what she did to me, but now that we happen to find each other back in our lives, she felt this was her opportunity to come clean. I've learned all this today, and I'm still in shock. I don't know what to tell my fiancé. She knows her friend is my nightmare ex. Now there's a possibility we have a child together. Not sure how she would react in this situation. Hell, I don't know what to do right now either. Only thing I think about are the images of her daughter. What the hell do I do now with this information? How do I even tell my fiancé without losing her? I'm terrified of that happening. Now for the top advice before reading the last 2 updates. This is definitely one for a lawyer. Because even if the kid is yours, you're going to need help making sure the crazy doesn't creep back into your life. In the meantime, absolutely do not invite her to the wedding, and tell her that all communication has to go through your lawyer. She's not to contact you or your fiancé directly. She is willing to do a paternity test. This would be an amazingly good moment to go chat to a lawyer about how to proceed or whether to proceed. My guess is lawyer will advise you to do exactly nothing without a court order. From a relationship point of view, you're gonna have to tell your fiancé and ASAP before crazy ex does. Keep her in the loop. That's what marriage means. And of course, pause the wedding until lawyers, etc. From the point of view of kid looks like me, it might mean nothing. It's perhaps just confirmation bias. Go out in the street or a playground, choose a random kid and ask yourself, okay, let's say this one might be mine. Can I see a similarity? And I guarantee you'll see. Oh yes, he/she's got my eyebrows/legs/eyes. This. An old friend of mine had to ask me for a paternity test on my daughter. I was confused because we'd never had that kind of relationship and weren't even in contact with each other when I conceived her with my husband. But his another of a wife had seen me and my husband and kids, and my daughter is the only blonde blue-eyed one of the then 3, and he was blonde blue-eyed. So his wife created this whole story in her head that we had a secret affair and my daughter was his, and even went as far as crying to his family. My husband and I said, if you're paying. Well, guess who was not her father? Yeah, her husband. But guess who was cheating? Yeah, her. See your lawyer, don't rely on looks. Even I admit, if someone saw me and my friend together were just my daughter, it would be far-fetched to believe she was his. But she isn't. Lawyer. Do not do anything without talking to a lawyer. Do not take a paternity test without a court order. Ask a lawyer if she has missed a time frame to establish paternity. Some states you have as little as a child's 4th birthday to establish/challenge paternity. I would hope that Opie would want to be in a kid's life and help care for her, assuming she's his, even if he could legally get out of it. I know for me not doing that would be a far bigger deal breaker than having a kid. Edited to add, still talk to a lawyer before getting the test. That way you have legal advice regarding custody etc. for as long as your paternity is confirmed. Otherwise you might get tricked into saying something that could decrease your custody access. Now for the second update 2 months later. I decided to have an honest sit down with my fiancée to tell her exactly what my ex/her old BFF told me. She needed a few hours away to clear her head and get it. I was so scared she was gonna decide this was too much for her and decide that she can't do it. But my fiancée, the amazing woman that she is, said we're in this together. We got in contact with a lawyer. My ex agreed to cooperate with going to court for a paternity test. And yesterday we got the results back. I am the father. This little girl is my daughter and have just missed 6 years of her life. And with my toxic ex, I tried so hard to get away from, of all people. She came at us with that "I told you so," and I better be ready to step up and be in their lives. She didn't even say my daughter's life. She said their lives. My ex seemed really satisfied with us. For some reason it makes me uncomfortable. Before this, we had talked about what would happen if it turned out I was the father. One thing we discussed was if I'd be a dad or just a father from a distance, paying the child support I owe until she's a legal adult. My fiancé didn't feel right with the second one, and to be honest, neither do I. Can't imagine not being involved in her life, and I would like to get to know her. It's the thought that I'd have to deal with my ex for the rest of my life, though. Part of me doesn't feel like I can mentally handle that. Knowing how she was back then, what drove me to break up with her, then make it difficult for her to contact me. Everything's hitting me all at once. I'm not sure what to do to process everything. On top of that, know how to make sure to be a good father to this little girl. She is innocent in all this, and I don't want to hurt her. You can just meet your ex at a mutual location to trade off your daughter, and keep the transactions between her brief. She only contacts you in regards to your daughter. Didn't know that was a thing. My main concern is that she'll want to use my daughter against me, or try to make it harder to have some sort of custody agreement, because I do want to be in her life. Lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. Get a lawyer to negotiate custody terms. It will cost money, but it will be worth it. You need way more advice than some place like this can give. Like lawyer advice. It is entirely possible for you to be in your daughter's life with a bare minimum connection to your ex, but there is going to be some if you choose to go that route. You will need legal advice to navigate that, though, not randos and Reddit's advice. I'll be contacting my lawyer today for sure. I'm just looking for any advice right now in the meantime while I'm trying to calm my anxiety. You can 100% have a relationship with your child with a minimal contact with your ex. Relax. Get your home ready for your child. Get a bed, dresser, clothes you might think will fit. To get your home safe and ready for your child to stay. Because I imagine at some point you'll have a social worker to do a walkthrough of your living situation. Yes, we have a guest bedroom we plan to use as her room when the time came. Since we know she's my daughter now, we're making preparations. Thank you, this has been very reassuring for me. Part of me wants to be allowed to feel excited that I have a child, and believe me, I am. But also couldn't stop feeling the dread that there's no way I'd ever be able to escape from my ex now. So all this really helps. Now for the latest update, more than a month later. Things are still a little chaotic, but I'm glad that I've got a lawyer to ensure everything is done by the court, and we've got the ball rolling on that. Everyone who made comments on my last post made me feel reassured and less panicked about the situation, especially talking about how me and my ex don't need to have direct contact with each other unless it had something to do with my daughter. I've tried hard to get away from her and her toxicity, so thinking that we had a kid together meant she'll make my life even more hellish the way she did before. Well, she still can, but at least I've got a lawyer now to fight my battle. First issue that came up since finding out was her refusing to let me meet my daughter at all, unless I gave her $900 that was supposedly for my daughter's school. But I already knew that was BS. And I was gonna let it go and wait for the court to grant me visitation. Yes, I will be paying the child support I owe, but I'm not going to hand my ex cash like that. At least her mom stepped in and convinced her to let me meet my daughter. Her mom was the one to drop her off with us. I was so nervous, but it really went well. Shy, of course. After an hour, she really opened up, and it's crazy to know who this sweet kid came from. Playing with her at the park brings out the little kid in me, and we end up having a blast. My favorite thing has been taking her to places she hasn't been to before and watching her light up. It seriously warms my heart. My fiancé left the first meeting be between me and my daughter, but they finally met last week. It still feels crazy knowing I have a kid. And we missed out all this time together, so I have no clue what I'm doing with her. I'm glad to be getting involved in her life though. And trying to ignore my ex and all her BS. Make sure it doesn't affect my relationship with my daughter. She's so little and I don't want her to see any fighting between us. My fiancé is such a rock star though. She's been my biggest supporter in all this, and I can't believe how lucky I am. I'll do everything to show her how much I appreciate her. This is such a wholesome update. Give yourself, your daughter, and your fiancé plenty of time to adapt to the situation. Your first meeting sounds adorable, and I hope it continues in this vein. Expect it to be a process though. There will be ups and downs, and that's to be expected. Little kids have big feelings and can't always manage them in a way adults understand. Remember, consistency is everything. No matter how difficult your ex makes it, keep your promises to your daughter, show up on time, and be there. Your ex's mom seems to be a stabilizing influence, and I hope she's able to convince her daughter to put her child's needs before her own pettiness. Your fiancé sounds amazing. Keep letting her know how much you appreciate her support. That's the plan. I don't want to mess up with my daughter because of the issues with my ex. It's not fair to her at all. I hope her mom's able to convince her too. Because this is not something my daughter should have to be dealing with. And if things can't be civil, that would be better. Have your lawyer fight for use of My Family Wizard or something like that, with 100% of communication goes through the app. All receipts, joint calendar, gets rid of all the he said, she said, when it's all there in black and white. Lots of people recommended that in my last post. I looked into it myself and brought it up to my lawyer. Amazing to have something like this set up and really has eased my nerves a bit. Your fiancé is your rock, making the best of a complicated situation. She has been so amazing, and I love her for sticking by my side. We decided to do a little nice 2-day getaway last week to show her how much I really appreciate her being there for me with all these huge changes going on in our lives. She deserves it more than anything. I'd also like to say that as your daughter gets older, you can slowly phase out all contact with your ex, because eventually your daughter will be an adult and able to connect with you without her mom involved. Stay strong, it won't be forever. Thank you. The idea of being stuck with my ex for life filled me with so much dread. I didn't know there were ways to have limited contact while still having things such as custody and child support worked out. You're right though. It won't be like this forever. Update. My boyfriend's brother is asking us to break up or else he'll walk out of the family. Original post. I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 21 male, have been together since we were 17. We have a healthy relationship, and I have a fantastic relationship with his family as well. I spent every Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then events in between with his family. His mom and I get along really well, and my boyfriend annoyingly complains about how she calls me more than him. Same with his father, who's been a second father figure to me. It always reminds me I'm more like a daughter to him than his son's girlfriend. My boyfriend has an older brother, 24 male, who I also get along with just fine, but is more kept to himself, so I don't know him as well as the rest. His older brother recently got himself a girlfriend, and actually the first time since I've met him as he had a girlfriend. This Halloween weekend was my boyfriend's parents' anniversary, and they invited me over, as usual, but also asked the brother to bring his girlfriend over for the first time. His girlfriend is the same age as me, so I was looking forward to meeting her. That Saturday, I arrived at my boyfriend's parents' place early, as me and his mother had plans to cook a large meal for everyone. That afternoon was mostly just me and my boyfriend and his parents hanging out. The girlfriend came later in the evening with his brother. Right off the bat, she became overly comfortable with my boyfriend and his father. She said, "I didn't know all the men in your family are handsome," and gave both men a rather tight and long hug. She then made her way over to his mother, ignoring me completely and saying, "You're so pretty. Watch out though, your husband's on my radar." Immediately his mother turned to me and whispered, "I have a bad feeling about her." We stayed in the kitchen, but the kitchen looks into the living room, so we saw everything go down. The girlfriend sat on both my boyfriend's and his dad's lap when trying to talk to them, and both men seemed uncomfortable. Soon my boyfriend joined us in the kitchen and said, "I don't like her." I called her over to taste the pasta. Well, I like spicy food, but I didn't know if she could handle it. To which she took a bite and said, "It's good. I see why they keep bringing you around." That compliment felt backhanded, and I felt more uneasy with her. We sat up the dining table and it was time for dinner. My boyfriend's family usually says grace before the meal, and invited a girlfriend to lead today as she was a guest. The girlfriend accepted and happily thanked God for the food and all the members, intentionally leaving me out of the grace. I didn't mind too much, but my boyfriend and his mom looked at me with the "you saw that" look in their eyes. As the dinner moved along, my boyfriend's dad grilled her with questions about her life and this and that, something he did to me as well. She seemed like a decent girl from a decent background. After he was done, he started asking me about the things I was working on and my plans for graduate school. Before I could answer, she interrupted and started talking about her work and how much she hated it. I could tell my boyfriend's dad didn't really want to listen, as he gave dry responses back and then turned back to me and just asked how my family was doing. This trend went on the whole night, where every time I was acknowledged, she would interrupt me. Near the end of dinner, she jokingly said, "Be careful, David," the brother's name. "I might just leave you for Blake," my boyfriend's name. I'm at a point where I don't get jealous or annoyed at this type of stuff. So I went along and said, "Yeah, Blake, remember to invite me to the wedding when it happens." That seemed to be the breaking point for the girlfriend, as she started crying out and saying she's been trying to embarrass me the entire night. She then went on a ramble about how I'm hogging my boyfriend's family and making her look bad in front of them. Right after dinner, she dragged my boyfriend's brother out of the house with her and they left for the night. We invited them to stay over for the weekend. My boyfriend's family apologized to me for having to witness that, and we all chilled down to some drinks and kept the celebration going without them. The next day, My boyfriend's mother gets a call from the brother who seemed extremely pissed off. She put her phone on speaker so we all heard him talk. He said his girlfriend is really upset with me and his family. How she's now having doubts about him and their relationship. She says that as long as I'm involved in the family, she doesn't think that a relationship with him will work out. The brother then began to ask that I break up with my boyfriend, so his girlfriend would stop crying and finally have peace with their relationship. My boyfriend denied the request, so did his parents, to which the brother then said, either she's out of the family or I am. I don't want to end this relationship over someone who's not related to us in the first place. Since then, no one has been able to get a hold of him and is stressing his parents and my boyfriend out a lot. I feel guilty, but also confused in what to do. I don't want to break apart this family, but I love my boyfriend and his parents too. I don't know what to do or how to process any of this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. So he leaves, sees what a train wreck she is, and comes back in a year or 3, tail between his legs. He's got some growing up to do. A year or 3. No way he lasts that long, unless he knocks her up. If that happens, then he is well and truly screwed. Don't disagree with the basic advice to let the brother run off with his ticking bomb. Just wait for him to crawl back with his face blown off. Yeah, she's going to isolate him. The emotional mistreatment has already started and will get worse. I don't want to end this relationship over someone who's not related to us in the first place. And yet is willing to end it because of his girlfriend. Dude needs to take a chill pill and dump the overly dramatic twat. You hope the brother sees sense and dump this crazy lady. Don't you dare feel guilty. You did nothing wrong. And give your boyfriend's mom and dad a hug. It's wonderful when you find a great family. Sounds like they got your back. Don't engage. The girlfriend is clearly disliked by the entire family. The brother is clearly desperate for the first person that showed him some attention. She was grossly inappropriate and made everyone uncomfortable. Leave yourself out of it. The brother will stay away, realize she's insane, and not worth having 0 friends or family for. And now for the update. Thank you for the response. I feel reassured knowing I'm not selfish to stay with the family, and I plan on keeping things how it is and not letting my boyfriend's brother or girlfriend take control of the situation. An update on the situation that sort of gives me more clarity on why everything happened. This morning my boyfriend's mother got a hold of his brother and we all went over again and sat down together. No girlfriend this time. The brother seemed to calm down a lot more and apologized for the commotion the other night. However, he's still backing up on my boyfriend and us breaking up for the betterment of his relationship. There was a lot of back and forth between my boyfriend and his brother. A lot of what he simply chose to stay out of. His brother got angry again. And right before he left, he said, "You can shove that ring up your bottom, don't think about inviting me to the wedding." He left after that, and the room got tense. So my boyfriend opened up to me about something. Basically, he planned to propose to me. Not now, but he bought the ring a few months ago and told his family, including his brother, about it. He said the tension between his brother and him started the moment he told him he planned to propose to me. I didn't know if I should be happy my boyfriend wants to marry or upset that this was sorta over a ring. Now I'm still confused on the girlfriend's behavior, but I think I can safely say that beyond a girlfriend, a big reason the brother was upset was over the fact me and my boyfriend are gonna get married. That's the update for me. Also, a lot of people ask about my boyfriend's older brother's dating history, and I found out this was the first time he dated someone since he was 16. He's 24 now. Anyways, that's all. My boyfriend is bummed out that he had to spill the beans on his plan, but we talked it out and he said he's gonna officially propose with a ring in his planned time. I'm gonna stay with him. I'm gonna keep my distance from that family though for the time being, just in case any more mishaps happen. So brother and girlfriend are both insecure, jealous types. Crazy squared. That's going to be fun for them. You've definitely got the right idea, Opie. Best to stay away from them as much as possible going forward. God help us when they have kids. That will be the next pawn used to make the family bend to their will. You don't need to distance yourself from his family because 1, they like you, and 2, when you get married, they'll officially become your family too, although you pretty much are already. As for petty girlfriend, I'd suggest that if she dares to show her face again, you kill her with kindness. It'll drive her insane. Your boyfriend's brother may be acting like a toddler, but he's still an adult. And if he wants to throw away his family for her, then that's his choice and nothing to do with you, your boyfriend, or anyone else. Let him reap what he sow. It might be the only way he learns that the world doesn't revolve around him getting access to a vagina. Came here to say exactly this. Don't distance yourself from the family. It's not their fault that a brother and his girlfriend are acting like children. My husband's brother tried many dirty tricks to break us up. He had a reason though. He wanted to pull a stunt over his mother's house and he couldn't do it while husband was still around. He wanted him to go back to living in Australia without me. It didn't work. We're still here 23 years married. So what was your boyfriend's brother's reason for not wanting you two to marry? I'm not sure actually. All I know is that he's been upset since the whole ring thing. So I'm guessing it's because we are getting married. So I'm spitballing based off limited information from the two posts, but I think it's genuine envy. You only listed 2 examples, with an 8-year gap between of when the brother has dated anyone. Meanwhile, you and your boyfriend have had a multi-year relationship where the entire family loves you and accepts you as one of their own. So I think brother has been stewing in jealousy this entire time from watching this play out, while having no partner of his own. Now that your boyfriend wants to propose to you, the jealousy has boiled over into full-blown envy. Brother wishes he had a relationship like his brother's, but he doesn't. So now he wants to take what your boyfriend has, but replacing you with his own girlfriend. Which is why brother is giving this ultimatum. It isn't enough for him to have a loving relationship of his own. He needs your boyfriend's relationship to end so he can feel better about himself / his own relationship. I don't think it was ever about the girlfriend itself. Next story is titled, My sister, 30 female, broke my fiancé's 27 male wrist and now he won't marry me, 26 female, unless I cut her and the rest of my family out of my life. We have been together a little over 3 years and have a 1-year-old. Our relationship has been kind of rough because he has issues with employment and his mental health. We got into an argument recently and he left. He was gone for a few days, so I asked my sister to watch my daughter while I was at work. But I had to leave early because he came back and she wouldn't let him in. My sister started interrogating him about where he was and if he had illegal substance on him. He used to do them. My fiancé got defensive and asked her to leave. She wouldn't, and it turned into a big argument and kept putting his hand in her face. So she grabbed it and bended his hand back really hard and snapped and broke his wrist. I had to take him to the hospital and begged him not to file a report. Now my fiancé has given me an ultimatum. Either cut out my sister or he's going to leave. He wants me to cut out the rest of my family too because they heard what happened and they're on my sister's side. They think he provoked her and brought up all the stuff he did in the past as an excuse, and why I don't need him. But I want to stay with him because our daughter needs her father and our problems can be fixed. But I don't want to cut out my family either. I know my sister and family are looking out for me, but I can't have them always going after my fiancé or him after them. How can I keep both? Edit. He answered some questions in the comments. I knew he had issues when we met, and I wasn't willing to work through them. I was a mess myself when we met, and I've been working on myself a lot. He just has to get there. This relationship sounds insanely toxic and beyond broken. There's nothing to save here. That said, in this particular instance, he's not wrong. She tried to keep him from entering his own house and then attacked him. But honestly, it's beyond a point. A relationship doesn't progress to this point of chaos unless it's been dead for a long time. Your daughter will be much better off if the two of you focus on peacefully co-parenting. Being raised in a toxic environment is way worse than being raised by parents who aren't together. Absolutely. I could see me and my ex going downhill fast. We agreed the best decision was to split, for my kids' sake. We now get on fantastically, and split parenting 50-50. She's the happiest kid you could ever see. Never stay together for the kids. They know. They learn bad habits and they think it's normal. Your fiancé left after an argument for a couple days? That's not how an adult handles an argument. He sounds flighty. And the fact that he's given you an ultimatum just shows you that you need to stick with your family. They sound like they can support you better than a father who leaves their fiancé and child for a couple days. Now for the last story. Girlfriend, 26, thinks she can do better. I told her to go for it. I, 26, have been with my girlfriend, 26, for over 6 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and the next day she hit me up on Snapchat. She got my Snapchat from the mutual friend. After that, we went on a few dates, and since I wasn't feeling it, I called it off. We were out of contact for about a year. We again met at a local multimedia institute and were in the same class. Long story short, after a few months we started dating and we have been together ever since. The last 6 years have been fun, and I have enjoyed this being with her. We are currently in a rough patch. Last week we had an argument over petty stuff and she told me that she can do better, and I should be more grateful. I told her that the door's right there, and I don't need her. And if she thinks she's some sort of a prize, she's mistaken. Yeah, I know I said stuff I probably didn't mean, and it was just in the heat of the moment. She left, and after that, I low-key thought our relationship had ended. I didn't try to contact her. A few days ago, she asked me if I wanted to say something to her via text. I didn't bother replying. Today, she apologized via text, and that how sorry she is and didn't mean what she said, blah blah. I don't know what to do. Still hurts what she said, and I don't know if I want to feel this down the line again. Anyone here who has tried going back from a situation like this? Any advice? I want to try to fix things, because otherwise 6 years would be wasted. But I'm very doubtful about our future. I haven't replied to her yet, but I know soon I have to if I want to either fix things or end them. What do you guys think? I know I said messed up stuff and so did she. Please dial down to hate. Edit. I'll start by apologizing and doing what's right. I do owe her an apology for what I said since she apologized for what she said. Other than that, I don't know much. I'll talk to her. And if I feel like this is something I want to be in and she is also on the same page, we will try to sort it out. You know what's worse than wasting 6 years of your life with someone? Wasting 7 years. Yep, that time has already passed. There's no point investing more time if that is the only reason you want to stay. And it's not totally wasted. Probably learned some things and grown as a person and partner in those 6 years. But sometimes you grow apart. OP, if you want to work on it for the positive parts, that's fine too. But don't stay just because it's been X years. That's not a reason to stay. Why would ending it be a waste? To me, you already made your mind. You didn't contact her and don't really want to continue this relationship. The previous 6 years together for the most part have been good. Not trying seems like a waste. I'm feeling very conflicted at the moment. If you enjoyed that time together, it wasn't a waste. Staying with someone because you've been with them for that long is a bad reason to stay. So the question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to continue this relationship or is it over? Both of you said some messed up things. This relationship is over. As you stated, you want to save this relationship because of the 6 years invested, not because you still love each other. Don't fall a victim to sunk cost fallacy.